righty, here we go. It's Flyers game day. Starting on the stream only, and it's Jason Martinez. There he is, Big Al, Chris Tarian, Brian Smith. Where are you guys at? The Bet Rivers?
Bet Rivers on the main concourse. We're behind 106, 107.
All right.
And, there's a lot of people that look like they're sitting here staring at us, but they're watching the TVs next to us. So it's
flattered. There's a game on.
It's not terribly awkward at all. But we have a nice plant behind us now here too. So it's festive.
It looks like Bundy's got like Kramer hair with that plant on the top of his head.
It's perfect right there, isn't it?
It is, yes. It's lovely. And there's so many sports on right now. The NFL games are on next to us. Of course, the Sixers. So we're getting prepped, though, for a 5:30 Flyers game. Good to be here with you guys yesterday. Following up on a terrific win yesterday against the champs of the
how about
Cup
that?
playoffs. That was good. Great stuff.
Whew. That game had a little bit of everything, Bundy. I don't recall a game this year where the shifts in momentum were as pronounced as they were in that game.
It was unbelievable. I mean, it was almost like to a T what you'd expect from a team coming back off the road like the Flyers had and the start that they had, but more importantly, how they were able to regroup in the course of that game. And I think that's a real positive for this hockey team to be able to, again, just take a hit early, even though they had the lead. But the first 10 minutes of that game, it could have been 3-0 Vegas. Really, that's how good. And Carter Hart was great. So, again, you get a good flow going when you get a good goaltender and you're getting opportune goals. They've done a good job, and they've really earned some quality points against some outstanding hockey teams, especially the last three.
When you look at a game like that from a player perspective, I mean, again, this is a team that's it's young and it's they've gone through some lean times, but they know who the Stanley Cup champion is, and they've seen them already once this year, almost took them out, and then this time they're able to get the job done. I mean, that's obviously part of the process here and getting this team back to the higher echelons. But what's that do for young players to go up against a team like that and and get a quality win like that, not just hang on for one?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? It gives you confidence. The confidence that you can find a way to beat a team like that you have the ability to do it. It's fun. When you get over the slump and you realize sometimes like, wow, we just beat the best team in the league by last year's standards, and we're able to take them out. That does a lot of things for the psyche of a team. But you can't get overconfident with it either. You have to realize a lot of things went your way. There was no Aiden Hill in nets. I don't know how much of a difference it would make. I'm not big on the goaltender switch and all that, but I think the Flyers competed hard. And what was really interesting for me more than anything in the third, they had to be really resilient in that third period last night. There was a couple of penalties that were taken, some lazy penalties. There was a great breakup on a 2-on-1 by Cam York. There was some plays that Vegas had an opportunity on. I mean, crazy power plays, 5-on-3s for an extended period of time. And good goaltending, staying with it, being competitive through the course of the game. And when things were not going their way early, they were able to hold their breath until they got their legs under them. And that was a difference in that game yesterday. Vegas, for me, they were just a team on the road, in the middle of a road trip.
Yeah.
They were thinking they were going to come in here and get a win. They played a good game. Don't get me wrong here. I don't want anyone to think that Vegas didn't play good. They played a good game yesterday. The Flyers got them.
That's the thing, too, Bundy. They're playing in those games where there's no margin for error. That tells you a lot about certain guys. One of the things that Torts talked about after the game, Bundy, was he was asked about Carter Hart. And he said, I don't worry about Carter's game. I don't worry about his preparation, the way he carries himself. And I imagine over Torts' 20-plus years as a head coach, he's had goalies where he could have that mindset. I don't worry about this guy. I don't have to worry about it. It's, the position's got a lot of voodoo, and the goalies are weird and the whole thing. But as a player, were there certain goalies you had to worry about their preparation, their preparedness, and other ones that you didn't have to worry about? I imagine that you guys feel that as players too.
What's funny? I never really like the goalies. I'd like to sit next to them, but I never really got too involved with the goalies. Like, you don't want to talk to a guy like that before a game, but I always felt like the goaltenders we had, they were pretty ready to go. Like goalies are like pitchers where you just kind of stay away from them before a game.
Yeah, you don't let them do their thing.
You don't want to disrupt anything because they're dealing with a whole different superstition, or if you want to call it. Yeah. They're going through different protocols in terms of pucks coming, rebounds. There's so many things, and again, it's like being a pitcher. To be prepared like that to kind of take your emotions through the whole course of a game. So we'd leave them alone, but I can tell you safely that there wasn't a goalie on a game day that I play with that didn't look like he wasn't at least getting ready for the game to play.
So we're in a situation here with a relatively short turnaround, not as short as Columbus has from their turnaround last night. And I understand it can sometimes be a little bit difficult to adjust to these strange start times for a guy. And Scott Lawton actually told us that 1 o'clock's nice because you get up, you just go out and you play. But this is a little bit of a different animal. It's
tweener.
Tweener. When you were a player, how would you have to prepare any differently for a start time like this, or is it just a matter of just going through the motions?
This is the worst start time in hockey.
Yeah.
This is absolutely.
Really, why is that, Bundy?
You know what? Because it's so far away from an early afternoon start, right? Like the 1 o'clocks are good. You get out of there. There's more of a focus. You get up and play. 5:30 on a second night of a back-to-back to me is just awful. Like if you're going to do 5:30, why not just do 4 o'clock then? You're taking 5:30 because you're really not helping anybody else. Yeah. You're still getting out of here after 8 o'clock. So I always look at it from a fan standpoint, but for the players, absolutely horrible time too. I bet you most guys won't say it. They're like, oh, we don't think about it. When you look ahead someday, they're going to go back and go, man, those 5 o'clock, 5:30 games were the worst. And they are.
Yeah. I think that's the player mentality when they're in it because you can't control it. And you have to just control what you can control, I would imagine. At that point, Columbus played, they dropped the puck 22 hours, puck drop to puck drop. And they're riding this losing streak, Bundy. 8 games. I mean, when you're losing the way they are, when you're winning, you want game after game after game. Players probably want a chance to end the losing streak, but sometimes you need a chance to exhale, and they're not going to get it.
Well, this is a team that I'm not sure what they were thinking after last year. They have they got a good guy drafted with Fantilli, but when I look at just this team in general, they paid a guy way too much money to be the head of the snake on a team where you can't go in and have 7 points or whatever it is. If you got to be that leader. We're talking about Gaudreau.
9.75, Bundy.
Yeah, that again. There's people said last year, oh, why didn't we get him here? And I didn't. I like Johnny. He plays good, right? You get your points and stuff. But I'm always about looking into the playoffs and using size and stuff. And his past playoffs didn't suggest that that's the kind of number you get. I also remember Tort saying that the team wasn't in a position then to get a guy like Gaudreau. We hadn't been we weren't equipped enough to be able to get a free agent like that. Get 7 points. So again, you got to know what you're getting at the time, right? And you got to know how much you're paying a guy and how many years for that term and that service is for. They got a myriad of problems in Columbus. When I thought that San Jose had problems, I realized they don't have a daunting amount more than the Columbus Blue Jackets. That being said, guys, I'm terrified of a team coming in here on an 8-game losing streak and the second night of a back-to-back. And let's not kid ourselves. The Flyers have had a propensity for losing the game against teams that have been on hideous roads, losing streaks. And I'm telling you right now, if the Flyers play like they did yesterday, they will be fine. If they play anything less than that against this team tonight, as I've said to you guys many times, anybody can beat anybody on any night in this league, and you have to be ready to play. The Columbus Blue Jackets' top players have not been top players, and they're chasing.
Laine scratched.
Laine is out of the lineup. That's exactly right, Jason. Patrick Laine, who was a 50-goal scorer and looked like the future of any franchise, almost looks like some nights he's walking out of the league in a sense, until whatever his contract ends. But he's not the player he was to start in Winnipeg. He looks disinterested. And to be quite honest with you, nobody's getting them the puck either to make a difference. This is a team that the Flyers need to get in on the forecheck, pound them into the boards, create turnovers, and stay diligent on that all game long.
I look at this group and it's to me, it's the epitome of an example of the mix is important. You take 2 guys like Gaudreau and Laine, you throw them on a roster, you expect, okay, they're going to be a very good offensive team, but you're seeing a situation where obviously it's not right. It's not working. It's not the right mix of players on the ice at any given time. And in this day and age in the NHL, you need that. You've got to have the right guys in the right spots rather than just loading up.
Yeah, there's no doubt in finding that chemistry, finding that little niche amongst those players. They also got Provorov, in the offseason. They thought that would be an upgrade to a degree, but again, he got his first goal yesterday. I've seen plenty of the same turnovers that he made here last year, and this is a guy that came in and said, wow, it's really nice to be on a team that actually makes plays now. That's why you never talk like that out of turn until you see how you do with your new team.
Yeah, end up eating your words.
That's bulletin board material from a loser team to a team that's doing well. And I don't think Columbus needs to do themselves any more favors like that.
Yeah, it's interesting because Gaudreau had that great year as last year in Calgary, playing with Elias Lindholm and Matthew Tkachuk. Lindholm handled a lot of the defensive stuff. Matthew Tkachuk created all the real estate in the world for a player like Gaudreau, and good on him. He cashed in. I'm happy for him.
It's not nothing about that at all. Great for the guy and for his family and future and everything. Nothing to do with that. You just have to look at in the moment. Where's that team with him? Nowhere good.
And at the same time, I remember when all the chatter was here about bring him here. I was fine with that, but the only way I'd want him here is if Tkachuk came with him.
Well, I just said, but Torts' thinking was at the time too, like, we're not ready to sign a free agent like that. Really?
Yeah.
He's got 7 points.
Mean all other things off the table. Even if the Flyers were a contending team, if he's he better bring Tkachuk with him, or you're never getting that season out of him again.
Yeah, exactly.
Or you got to find somebody very similar.
But let me ask you about another thing with the Blue Jackets coming into this game. They scratched Laine. They've benched Laine twice prior in game. They've benched Gaudreau twice in game for an entirety of a third period, and then in their loss the other night against Arizona 3-2. And Pascal Vincent is the coach there. He takes over for what was, I think, just a colossal mishandling with hiring Babcock and that whole thing. But he's trying to set this, standard of culture. He's scratching guys left and right and big names. Them healthy scratching Laine for the entirety of tonight's game. What does that do to the player? I mean, you like to think every player is motivated for every game no matter what. But obviously there's a big calling card and there's $8.7 million going to be sitting in the press box.
So and that's a good question and a fair one. If the player is a guy that's competing and doing things and he's trying, the players would be nervous about that because they're sitting out a guy to try to send a message. If the player is nothing more than a distraction or someone that's not playing by the rules of the whole organization of the team, then nobody's going to be worried that he's in the press box.
Yeah.
If he's just a bad apple, and we've seen bad apples here, right? And they could rot the room. And if that's the case, there's not going to be a problem in terms of what those guys' thoughts are of Patrick Laine sitting in the press box. He may be just such a distraction that they're going to be like, great. They may find flow without it. But again, a guy like that, he's a big guy that can shoot the puck. There's no reason for him to not be able to repeat. When you do that once, you should be able to do that again.
And there's obviously they're not looking at this game as the reason they're doing this. This is a long-term thing, but because of their cap situation and everything, by doing this, they're going 11-7, and that can be difficult to manage when you're on a bench, is it not? Just not having the consistency of 4 lines and 3 D pairs to just roll throughout a game like that.
That causes a lot of problems because then what you end up doing is you end up rolling the 3 lines
right
instead of it, because really what happens is those 2 fourth line spots don't play much, so you do. So I mean, listen, this is a game tonight that I would assume, just going back in time in my playing days, this would be a situation, if they care enough, they'd be a very, very desperate team tonight. Columbus, like, they're almost out of it. You're getting to a point now where you're going to be done.
Yeah, they're cooked.
They're done. Like, they're pretty much done unless they go on some kind of a crazy wild ride. The Flyers proved they could win 4 games in a row, so it probably gives hope to a lot of teams. Nobody thought the Flyers could ring off 4 in a row after that San Jose loss, but they did. And they're playing good
teams
hockey. Yeah, good teams, and they're playing the right way. So, anything can happen. That's why, for me, tonight, the Flyers have to be particularly ready to play this team because they can jump out and bite you because they're a wounded animal. And they probably feel cornered.
Bundy, one of the guys that is not going to be in the lineup for the Flyers tonight, John Tortorella, despite the fact that the team's won 4 straight. We know coaches don't like to make changes when things are going well, but Morgan Frost, once again, I think this is healthy scratch number 8 on the season. He's played in 10 games. He'll be upstairs. Bobby Brink returns. I don't think we have a problem with that, but your thoughts on Morgan Frost being the guy to come out of the lineup once again?
I saw people yesterday saying that he came out of he's coming out today because of the bad power play, the 5-minute major. So I will tell people right now, just kind of knowing Torts, that had nothing to do with it. There was a forecheck play that Morgan Frost went in on, and I'm just telling you what I know. This is what made Torts crazy. He went in with his butt first, There was a guy that he could have eliminated from the puck. Could have just went shoulder to shoulder, take the puck, make a hard play. What Morgan Frost did was he came in backwards, tried to sit his rear end into the guy. He missed because he didn't really engage properly. As the player from Vegas started to move forward, Morgan Frost reached around to try to get the stick on it. He hooked them. They went to the penalty box. That put the Flyers in a horrible, horrible spot.
In the third.
Brutal time of the hockey game in the third.
Yeah.
That is why Morgan Frost is out of the lineup again. Now, am I going to say that he deserved it? I don't think he deserved it. I think there's other guys that have done the exact same things as him. But as I've said, this guy's in the doghouse, and he doesn't have any bit of rope to work with. He has to be perfect every night for this coach. But again, is he going to learn from it? Those are plays. When you're sitting in the box for 6 games, right? 7 games, you'd think and been told you cannot forecheck like this. You cannot compete like this as a forward. So again, he's going to drive the ire of the head coach again, right or wrong or indifferent. And he's the guy that'll go back. And you have a guy anyway. You knew Bobby Brink. They were itching to get him back in. Again, I look at the spirit of fairness, and there's been other guys, young guys, that have done the same things that Morgan Frost has done or Bobby Brink, and they have not yet been in the press box.
I guess when you look at the grand scheme of things as a coach, you've got probably 23 different relationships with 23 different players, and is that just part of the nature of being a head coach in this league? Is that sometimes there's guys that for whatever reason just have a little more rope than other guys do, and maybe it's not necessarily all on ice performance.
It's well, what is the old word they used to use with the coach said, "Get money in the bank"?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and that's just all basically how the coach wants to perceive you. If he feels the coach has certain things that they like. Some coaches love offense. Oh, let's try to take him out. There's other coaches that put a little bit more prowess into the defensive side of the puck. And with this guy, for the players to buy in, they have to buy in defensively. It just can't be like you get out and score a goal and everyone's happy. You have to buy into both ends of the ice. And because that's part of the culture change that they're trying to do, get back to fundamentals, because fundamental hockey does win if you do it appropriately and you do it competitively.
It's a non-negotiable. Yeah.
Yep.
We're going to join our radio audience in just about 4 minutes. Mark Stahl does not come back into. I think we were expecting that he was going to come back into the lineup today. He is not going to draw into the deep pairs. Are going to remain the same for the Flyers today. And they look for 5 straight. I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to look at last year's schedule. I don't know that they came close to winning 5 straight at any point last year.
I can't think of it. No.
Well, they got their best chance.
Yeah,
I can tell you that right now.
Yeah.
And you get this as an opponent in this situation, and you're hoping. Look, they won 4 straight last year at one point, but no, I don't see 5 straight. They won 4 straight twice last year, but never won 5 straight last year. So, and of course, they had a 10-game losing streak last year as well. So, I don't know if they're built to do that again this year.
No, they don't have one of those in them, unless there's a myriad of injuries. But no, as the team is right now, that's not happening. They've learned to work, they've learned to compete, and they've done a good job of it.
Bundy, Couturier gets that game winner yesterday. I think we saw him get out of the gate really well, and then hit a little bit of a wall, and soreness came in, which we all fully expected after missing 21, almost 22 months of NHL hockey. But to get that goal yesterday in overtime for him, I mean, that's a big one. He goes into, I think, 6 overtime winners for his career now. But the way the goal was scored was, to me, just, diligent forecheck and getting that stick in there and creating the turnover from Jack Eichel. But I imagine that his confidence in his body and where his game is going has got to be on the rise.
Yeah, and a shot, he looked like he fanned on it too, right?
Yeah,
he did. They fluttered it.
Well, I don't know if it was a pass or what it was, but
you know what? In 20 years, it'll just be known as a great
shot.
Bar down.
It was a beauty. But you know what? No, I mean, but again, he was diligent on the check. Eichel been out on the ice a little too long, made it just an absolutely boneheaded play. And the Flyers jumped on it and ended up with a kind of a mini 2-on-0. And I'm not sure what Kuntz was. Listen, it worked. Period. And I think we can live with that. That was a great win. And you know what? That's the key tonight, though. Just follow it up. Like, continue that momentum into this game. And, 8 other teams beat Columbus. There's no reason you lose this game tonight here at home. No way.
Yeah, including the Caps last night. We went into when the game ended yesterday. The Flyers were in the second spot in the division. We shouldn't be standings watching already, but right now they're in the fourth spot. One of those teams that is ahead of them is Washington. The division right now is the Rangers with 25 points, Carolina with 20. Then the Flyers actually third spot, 19 points, one ahead of the Caps. And the Flyers now have won 4 straight games. We'll see if they can make it 5 against this Columbus team. How do you avoid – what's the message from the coach? How do you avoid any kind of letdown in this game? Does the coach have to say something, or does he got enough leadership in that room that he doesn't even need to mention it?
You bench Morgan Frost and you put Bobby Brink in.
There it is.
There you go. There you go. Jason, I don't know what's going to happen here when we go on the air. Just so you know, it might get a little squirrely. We'll see how this works out. But
now, you know what? I think it's a moving thing, Jason. Just be prepared to play again, and don't take this team lightly. I think that would be John's message to the team tonight. Be ready, check hard, play hard, compete.
Don't
hard.
let it be a trap game, right?
Yep. All right, we're getting ready to join our radio audience.
This is the Flyers pregame show on 93.3 WMMR.
That's right. It is Flyers game day. Flyers Blue Jackets pseudo matinee. I guess this will be called a twilight game, if you will.
It's right behind us here on our stream. Yeah, we've had the twilight behind us all night.
Yeah.
Not like yesterday. We were
Twilight Zone.
Yesterday was full doggone daylight yesterday, but yeah, it's nicer up here tonight.
When we started the streaming show, it was bright behind you. Now it's dark as can be.
It's a nice little lighting effect that we ordered for today.
Yeah. Flyers looking for their 5th straight win. And Bundy, I don't know. My expectations going into this year, I'm not changing anything in light of the fact that they've won 4 straight over 4 pretty darn good teams as well, coming off that San Jose loss. But I didn't know that we would see the possibility of a 5-game win streak at this point in this season.
Well, and you know what I mean? Just because I think that we looked at the team coming in and said, is there enough skill that they can succeed like this? And as we talked about yesterday, we have many times, it takes an awful lot for this team to win hockey games. There's a lot that goes into the Flyers winning games because they don't have that natural sniper that can change a game or dynamic forward going in and making an amazing play at the net. So they have to play the best that they can in the moment and to do a lot of really hard things through the course of the game. And that's what's made a difference for them this year. They've outworked and outcompeted teams, and they've outchanced them at times, and that's been a big difference. Blocking shots has been another pivotal key to this team's success.
We touched on it right before we ended the streaming part of our show, Bundy, the notion of a trap game, and you beat the best team in the league, and now you're arguably taking on the worst. How does this team make sure that they come out here with the energy that they need to, especially given the odd time of day?
Get the pucks in deep. Do not try to come out and be a skilled team in this game early, and make sure that if you're the Flyers, get the pucks in and get after the defense. Guys back there can turn pucks over. Provorov's tendencies. Make it difficult for these guys tonight in Columbus to break the puck out. They also played last night against the Capitals. They did lose. The Flyers are a little fresher from that Saturday game. I'd get the start and play off the momentum of the crowd here tonight early.
It is the return of Ivan Provorov, who, he answered the bell, played every game except for the ones where he was asymptomatic COVID. He was a 7th overall pick. What do you think the reception is here tonight for Ivan Provorov, Bundy?
Didn't he play here already? No, that was in Columbus.
Yeah, opening night, yeah.
I don't know. I always looked back to see when something went like that because, we always heard rumors around the team. And you'll always know by whether another ex-teammate wanted to, get any kind of retribution to former guys. And I haven't
Mark
seen
Friedman.
like Mark Friedman. But I haven't really seen that. It didn't happen in the first game, but who knows? Maybe he had some stuff to say. I don't know. Tort said, I think I'll just leave that one alone before the first game of the year. But they've had a brutal start, and this is a game the Flyers, you want to keep rolling. Stay with the pack because this is a more than winnable game. It's very much like San Jose, and they have to execute here at home.
And we get Samuel Ersson tonight with Carter going yesterday. And again, a bit of a slow start to the season for him. But the last couple of times he's been out for the Flyers in this role, he has been exceptional. And so I think they're hoping, obviously, to see the second part of that tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, with Carter Hart playing so well, I look forward to seeing whether the backup goalie can carry that momentum for the team too. That's something, he's got a chance. And when you look at the game, it was Peterson that got things started, right? And they looked like things were really kind of dire for the Flyers. They lost to San Jose. They were going into a real tough building for a back-to-back against Anaheim and LA. And the goaltending got it done. Went back to the same goaltenders in Urson and Peterson. You can't forget they were a part of this. So kudos to them, because it's tough to get wins from backup goalies. They have to be ready to go in. And I think that's just a huge thing, an opportunity tonight for him to go in and continue the momentum for this team and have him feel like he's very much a part of it as well.
Well, one guy, one of the goaltending faces that's been with this three-headed system all year, was sent down for a conditioning assignment, but the Flyers did waive Felix Sandstrom today.
Wow, yeah.
And it's been, he was here. And it's always uncomfortable when there's three goalies at practice. Guy just standing there. I think it's uncomfortable for the guys taking the reps, too. They're like, he's standing there. Should I let him get in? But I need my work. They waived him today. I think he'll be picked up. I don't know what the situation is around the league for teams, but
I don't know like a lot of teams' cap situation and what they have and don't have. But I mean, in terms of Jace, if you look around the league with goaltenders, I can't imagine he doesn't. I mean, Edmonton can't get a guy in a beer league to play for them right now. Yeah. I mean, that's so hard. I mean, they got all that talent, and they can't stop a puck. They've been better lately, but you know what I mean? They were looking so hard for any goaltender that, again, it depends how desperate a team is in the moment.
And I guess, from the grand scheme of things, it wasn't really sustainable, right? I mean, you talked about it. It's tough for the guys to have three of them around, and eventually it was going to have to happen. You couldn't stick them around here for the whole year, I would imagine.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's very difficult to do that.
Yeah, he had to be sent down eventually. I thought that maybe they were just delaying to try and get him through waivers because at the beginning of the year, maybe there's a run. Bobby Brink comes back in tonight. Bundy, he's had a chance to reset. What do you see from Brink tonight? Maybe the game was catching up to him a little bit before being a healthy scratch, but he gets back in tonight and can reset and move forward.
I think he's always better, Jason, when he's afforded the opportunity to go in between the hash marks and play, get to the net with the puck, stick on the ice, be a warrior, be competitive in there. He did a great job of that. But one thing I will tell you with him, it will not be suited for him to play as a perimeter player. He's too good, too effective when he gets in the gray areas and those dirty areas. And that's where he's going to have to live, I think, in this league.
Yeah, no doubt. He is a guy that will go to the grimy areas. All right, stay tuned. We've got Tim Saunders, Todd Fedoruk. Countdown to face-off, followed by all the first period action between the Flyers and the Blue Jackets. Can they win 5 straight? Well, stay tuned and find out. You've been listening to Flyers Game Day on the BetRivers.com Flyers broadcast.